Spring is in the air and it's time to freshen up our homes and gardens. Join me as we dive into spring cleaning and gardening projects and prepare our homes for the vibrant season ahead. Let's bring new life and rejuvenation to our spaces together. I swung by the greenhouse earlier today and I went ahead and grabbed a couple of ferns. There's nothing like those fresh green ferns hanging on the front of the patio that just sets the tone for the season. Those are my favorite hanging flowers to display, and I just love how easy that they are to take care of and how beautiful and inviting they are to the patio space. We do a lot of sitting outside with family and friends, and so I just like to have a lot of greenery and flowers displayed around the patio. I think it's just warm and welcoming to everybody that enters our home. We were able to get our garden planted last weekend and I was so excited to get that going. We went ahead and planted up some broccoli and cabbages, and then my husband purchased a bunch of strawberry plants, and I think he bought about 30 of those and he got those planted as well. We purchased these hydrangeas bare root last spring and went ahead and planted those, and they have grown a lot since we planted them, and I'm really happy with the way that they turned out. I can't wait to see how big and pretty they get displayed there by our patio. I love hydrangeas and I just think that they're kind of a staple for southern homes. I went ahead and got out on my porch and did a little cleaning and a little decorating. I haven't purchased the flowers yet for my front porch, but I'll do that a little bit later in the season when it warms up because it gets pretty hot there and I don't want to put anything out that's going to get sunburned. I went ahead and washed up our giant comforter. I don't like to wash this very often in the wintertime just because it is so thick and heavy. I have a hard time drying it in our dryer. And Dave built me this clothesline last summer and I have used it for our big heavy comforter and the kids' comforters. It's been such a huge help to me to get everything dried efficiently. So this entry space is really pretty. I love the wallpaper that's on display, but everything from the winter had just kind of gotten hung up there and had completely cluttered the space and was just taking up that whole area behind the door. And so I was ready to get those winter coats moved down to the basement and stored away and clean this space up and just add a little spring flower, a little spring touch to this space. And I like to keep the door open a lot whenever it is getting nice weather out just to let the sun in. So I cleaned that up and I was so happy to get that done. I also went ahead and got a new entry rug. The rug that was there was just a little bit too big and it had honestly been pretty worn down, so I found that one and I thought it was really cute, and I liked how the rubber backing on it allows it not to slip, because I feel like that's kind of an issue with a lot of rugs is that they'll slip around a lot and I don't like that. So that one has a really nice rubber backing. And then I found this really cute kind of twine wreath, and I just decided to put a little cross on the center of it. Nothing fancy, just a really simple spring wreath that I thought was really cute. So we don't actually have an office space in our home. I'm currently using just kind of a little corner of our living room, which is perfectly fine because we all spend a lot of time in here. But I wanted to have something above the computer where I work and I see it all the time, and I just wanted to add a little touch of encouragement. And so I found this really pretty plaque and decided to kind of dress it up with the greenery. This is a beautiful handmade quilt from my husband's side of the family. I have absolutely loved it ever since his aunt gave it to me. I find that I bring it out every spring because it has all of those beautiful spring colors, and I just can't believe how intricate and detailed that the quilt is, and I know that it was hand sewn. So I don't like to use it, but we just like to display it, and I love it. It's so beautiful. So I needed to go ahead and get started with dinner because I'm making a pot roast and I cook it in the Dutch oven at 350 for several hours for it to be completely done. And so I needed to start it several hours before dinner needed to be ready. I love having a pot roast. I think it's just one of those really simple classic dinner recipes. It's super easy. I'm following a recipe actually out of Brenda Gant's cookbook. She takes some flour and dredges her roast on both sides and then sears it before she adds it into her Dutch oven, and I think it adds a really wonderful depth of flavor. It's really good like that. Typically I have in the past, I've cooked roast several different ways, and sometimes I do cook it in the crock pot, but I do like to cook it in the Dutch oven because it's just so easy to throw everything together if you're gonna be home, to just pop it in the oven. And so that's the route that I took this day, and it turned out really great. So to get started, I just add some olive oil to my Dutch oven and turn it on to medium heat. And after I've dredged my roast with flour, I just take it and stick it into the sizzling oil and sear it just for a few minutes on both sides. And then I add it into the Dutch oven and I chop all of my vegetables. I chose celery and carrots and mushrooms and potatoes. She puts in her cookbook that she uses a Lipton seasoning packet. I did not have one of those, so I just chose some seasonings that I typically like: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Nothing fancy. That's pretty much what I added into it. And then I popped it into the oven at about 350, and it did take about 3.5 hours to fully cook and become tender because I had a pretty big roast, but when it was all finished, it was so delicious. So to go with the roast, I did decide to make some homemade coleslaw and also some homemade pasta salad. We haven't had that in quite a while, and the weather's starting to warm up, and I just thought that sounded really good as a couple of easy side items that I could make ahead of time and throw in the fridge. That way I wasn't trying to cook so much right before dinner, and so I went ahead and got those all prepped and ready. That way I could throw them into the refrigerator and let them cool for a few hours. And so I chose to just add obviously the cabbage heads, some carrots, some yellow bell pepper and red bell pepper, and I believe that's all that I put into the coleslaw. And then I mixed some mayonnaise with a little bit of vinegar and sugar and mixed that in for the coleslaw sauce. And then for the pasta salad, I also followed Brenda Gant's recipe from her cookbook and made the pimento cheese pasta salad, except for the pimentos because I couldn't actually open the jar. So I made that, and basically all that you put into the pasta salad is a 16-ounce box of elbow macaroni, some green onions. You can put in a few carrots, boiled carrots if you would like, some green pepper, red pepper, some cherry tomatoes, and then some mayonnaise and salt and pepper. So it's a really simple pasta salad, but it's actually one of our favorites. It's so delicious and good, especially in the spring and summer months. For the homemade coleslaw, I typically use some of my homemade mayonnaise, but I don't have any of that on hand, so I'm just using some store-bought mayonnaise this time. So I take about a cup of the store-bought mayonnaise, and then I mix in about a tablespoon of distilled white vinegar and about a quarter cup of sugar. You will want to taste as you go. Maybe add a little bit of sugar, just a little at a time, and taste just to see how it's going to taste with your coleslaw, because some people do like a little bit of a sweeter coleslaw and we typically like it about a little touch of sweetness. I do, so I always like to add a little sugar. For the pasta salad, go ahead and add in 2 cups of mayonnaise. I didn't have any store-bought mayonnaise, or I didn't have any, homemade mayonnaise, so I used store-bought like I said, but that's okay. I did 2 cups of the store-bought mayonnaise, and I didn't add anything else. I didn't put any vinegar or sugar or anything like that. You probably could if you like a little sweet pasta salad, but I don't. I typically just use mayonnaise, and I add a little salt and pepper. And my family really likes pepper, so I go a little heavy on that. But that's all it is. Like I said, it's a very simple pasta salad. Ideally, you would have overnight to chill it. If you don't have overnight, you can make it a couple hours ahead of time, and it'll still taste just as good. I just think that if it has overnight, it does have a little bit of more time to soak in all of those various flavors, and I don't know, it just tastes different to me. Thank you all so much for watching today. We appreciate you guys following along. We would love for you to like and subscribe to our channel, and we hope you have a great day.